Alright, so I'm Mycheal, student physical therapist assistant.
I'm Rocky, student physical therapist assistant.
Alright, we're going to be performing passive range of motion in all the joints, 3 reps, just to maintain unrestricted ROM, increase circulation, increase elasticity, and decrease contracture and adhesions.
Sounds good.
Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Rocky, if you'll lay down for me.
Start with the upper extremities.
Get sideline on this side for me if you can.
Right.
The other side. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, you're right. Alright, we're going to work on scapular elevation and depression. It should be a firm infill. And we're going to palpate for it. Grab the inferior border. And we're going to elevate and depress. And if you have any discomfort, just let me know. And depress. And depress. Okay. Now we're going to have scapular protraction and retraction for 3 reps. This should be, again, a firm infill. And we're going to palpate for the medial border right here. And we're going to protract and retract. Okay, and next we have the vertebral border lift. So again, palpating for that, and we're going to lift it away. 3 reps. Again, firm infill. Just let me know if that hurts, Rocky. There's 1. Dig in there. Alright, that was 3. Alright, next. You go supine for me. And reiterating proper body mechanics, we'll have them slide closer to the edge of the table towards me. Alright, and we have shoulder abduction and adduction. Support like this. Okay. And we have abduction and adduction. Both of these are firm infills. Okay. Those.
Fun.
Okay. Next, flexion and extension. So we're going to work shoulder flexion and extension. And these should both be firm infills. Okay. Now, we have horizontal abduction and adduction. So we're right here, and we're going to abduct and adduct. And firm infills for these. Okay. Next, we have internal and external rotation. So we're right here, and we're going to externally rotate and internally rotate. And firm infill for both of these. Alrighty. Okay. Next we have wrist flexion and extension. Right here, see? Okay. We have wrist flexion and extension. And firm infills for both flexion and extension. Okay. Radial and ulnar deviation. So towards the pinky side, we're going to deviate this way. Ulnar deviation and radial deviation. And firm infills for both of these. Okay. Next, we have the joints of the fingers. We have the MCP. We're going to choose this index right here. So we're just going to stabilize. And we're going to flex and extend this joint right here. Metacarpophalangeal joint. 3 times. We're going to say hard infill. Alright, next have the distal. So actually, if I can just scoot in a little bit, I can like easier so that way I can grab it and stabilize. That way we're not working any joints we don't need to. All right, and we have the DIP right here. We're gonna flex and extend right here. And again, hard infill. 3 reps. All right, now we have the, or this wasn't just the PIP, this is the DIP. We're going to stabilize right here. DIP, this is most distal joint right here, this finger. Flexing and extending. Flex, extend, and hard infill again. Okay? Well, now we have the multi-joint muscles. So if you can scoot closer to me, thank you. Now we're going to work on the biceps brachii. Have a pronate forearm extended at the elbow. And have to extend. We're going to feel tension right here. Be a firm infill. That's 4. Alright, that's good for me a little bit. Alright. Now we're going to work on triceps brachii. Alright, we're going to have them right here. It should be a firm infill. So we forgot the humeroulnar. We're going to go elbow flexion and extension really quick. So elbow flexion right here be a soft infill versus elbow extension be a hard infill. Okay. Next, flexor digitorum superficialis and profundus. I'm going to grab the wrist like so. We're going to extend. Stretching all the flexors underneath. And this will be a firm infill.
Did you get supination and pronation?
Oh, no, I need that too. I skipped right over that one. Alright. Now we're going to go supination and pronation. And you can just rest that. You don't have to keep it like that. And we're going to go supination and pronation. And both of these are soft infills. Alright. I think that's everything. Let's see here.
Feeling good for the upper.
Yeah, I think we're good on the upper.
Alright, we're going to switch roles now. And I'm going to do some range of motion for the lower extremities. So I'm going to have Michael lay down here for me. Alright, so we're going to start out with the hip and knee flexion and extension. This is also going to be a firm infill. So, do 1 until we reach that infill. Come back down in extension, then back to flexion. Do 3 of these. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is hip flexion and extension with the knee extended. So, climb up in flexion until we get to that infill, which is also a firm infill. Back down into extension. Do that 3 times. Supporting the knee and the ankle the whole time we're doing this as well. Alright, next thing we're going to do is the hip adduction and abduction. So we'll have him slide his other leg over just a little bit farther so we can get some of that abduction range of motion in there as well. So we'll start with abduction and then adduction. This is going to be a firm infill as well. Three of those. Now we're going to work on the hip internal and external rotation. So start out with external, then the internal. This is going to be a firm infill as well. Back to internal. Alright, next, we're going to do knee flexion and extension with the hip extended. So I'll come over here to this side for this one, so y'all can see it a little better. Make sure it's still on here. Alright.
Wait, is it recording? Just double check. I just moved the mouse.
Still recording. So could you slide over here to the edge of the table here for me, Michael? We're just going to have this leg kind of dangling here, so that'll extend that hip. Then we're just going to do extension and flexion of the knee. And for this one, the extension here is going to be a hard infill, and then the flexion is going to be more of a firm, maybe it could be a soft infill as well.
Have a good weekend, guys.
One of those. Alright, have you back up on the table. I'm going to do plantar and dorsal flexion of the ankle. So supporting the ankle right here, I have dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. These are going to be a hard infill. Three of those apiece. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is going to be toe flexion and extension. Actually, excuse me, we're going to do the ankle inversion and eversion first before we get into the toes. So supporting the ankle here again, we would have ankle eversion and ankle inversion. Alright, now we'll move on to the toe flexion and extension. So the first thing we'll do would be flexion, then extension. 3 of those, and that would be a firm, actually these would probably be a hard infill with the toes. What's that? Oh, okay.
Like, if that's me,
This would be flexion.
that's me. Extension.
Okay. So this would be
Extension.
extension and flexion of the toes. Alright. Next thing will be is if you get you to lay on your side for me, we're going to go into the multi-joints. So the first thing we're going to do is for the rectus femoris. How we would do that, to get that stretch in there, we grab him here, support the knee, and just pull him back like this. Do 3 of those. Alright, that's hitting that rectus femoris. And that will be a firm infill on those. And the next thing we're going to look at is the gastrocnemius and the soleus on how to stretch that using the dorsiflexion. So if we was here and we go into dorsiflexion, this would be hitting the soleus with flexion, and then when we come into extension with dorsiflexion, this would be hitting the gastrocnemius. Alright. Now we're going to move into some trunk movements, starting with the cervical spine. So I'm going to remove this pillar right here and have Michael slide to the edge for me so I can get to that neck. Alright. I'm going to start out working that cervical spine into flexion and extension. Do 3 of those. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is look at lateral flexion each way. Not going any farther. And the neck, these are going to be firm infills. And the next thing we're going to do would be the cervical spine rotation. Going each way, not going too far. Dealing with the neck, so we'll be very careful with these. Alright, if you You can slide back down for me. Get your head on the table. Get your pillow back right here. Alright, we'll move into the lumbar spine. And we'll start out with lumbar flexion. So what we would do is we would take both of these knees here and just pull them up to his chest, and that'll get that lumbar flexion in there. Do 3 of those, feeling for the infield and not going no farther. These are also going to be a firm infield. Alright. Now we're going to look at lumbar rotation. So have him lay his legs out flat for me. Have him bring this one leg and throw it over. Then we're just going to pull on his hip a little bit. This is a recent shoulder surgery patient, so we're going to be careful with the shoulders here. And just pulling that while keeping that shoulder down, and that'll get some lumbar rotation in there. Alright. Next thing we're going to look at is a little bit of thoracic rotation, a little bit more of the upper spine, so if you can have your feet straight for me. And what we'll do is we'll take and hold this hip down while pulling on this shoulder. And like I said, we'll do that very easy, being he's a recent surgery patient. Just pulling like that while keeping the hip down. We'll get some thoracic rotation in there. Alright, we'll do 2 more of those. Alright, and then the last thing we're going to do here is some lumbar extension. And we say this for last because it's the only one that requires you to go prone. So we'll have him go prone here. And then all we're going to do here is put our arms under his knees here, supporting his lower back, and just lifting up just a hair. This one can't go really far because it's a very firm infield. Just getting a little bit of that lumbar extension in there. Alright. Okay. And that's going to be it for the trunk movements. Alright, that's it. Let's go over so you can get in the shot spot.
Alright, so as far as plan of care goes, after the passive range of motion, we chose knee flexion. Or no, we chose knee extension, sorry. Knee extension. So passive range of motion would be like what we did. The patient is dependent on you. They're not moving anything. So we would be providing that care for them. And then assisted active range of motion. Rocky would be performing a knee extension or trying to his best of his capabilities. And I would be assisting him in that. Okay? And then isometric, meaning there's some muscle contractions going on, but it's not moving the load. And let me just make sure it doesn't freeze. And then so I'm providing the resistance to where he can't move his knee. And that would be his isometric. Okay, and then active range of motion without gravity, we'd have Rocky sideline. And then he would be extending his knee like that. He doesn't have to work against gravity as much in this scenario. Alright, that's good. Then active range of motion against gravity would be like what we did initially, but I wouldn't be assisting him, so he's doing all of the work right there. Okay. And then manual resistance for knee extension, I'd be resisting against him, but he would be moving this load. And I'm the one providing the resistance. Okay. And then mechanical resistance, we would use,
Alright, boys, right there.
an ankle weight for him. So we would get this around him. Make sure that's snug for him. Yeah, alright, good enough. And then he'll be performing his knee extensions that way against that load, moving it. Okay, and we provided the rationale in the beginning. So, yeah, that's been our passive range of motion stuff.